Okay, guys, so I'm going to make this very quick. And disclaimer, I am not doing this for no clout. I'm not doing this for no money. I'm not trying to make no movie. I'm not trying to do anything but bring awareness to your surroundings. This is for anyone who is willing to listen, especially to ladies who travel alone. You need to definitely be aware of your surroundings. I want to tell you about a situation that happened to me today while traveling alone. And I hope that after you get done watching all the series to this, that you will be more alert to your surroundings. I'm sure you already heard stories about being aware of your surroundings, especially by other women who may have experienced the same thing that I have experienced myself. But this is my story, and I want to share this with you, ladies, because I really want you to be careful out there, and I really want you to understand that there are predators out there. So please click part 1 so that you can continue to know the story of what happened with me today. Thank you. So today I got lost in the middle of the country trying to find a particular address. Now before I got lost, I looked at my GPS and saw that I was only 3 minutes away from my destination. But somehow I got distracted and noticed that when I looked at the GPS again, I was 10 minutes away from my destination. So what that means is that either I missed a turn or I took the wrong turn. So what I decided to do was make a U-turn, try to go back the way that I was coming from and get back to that 3 minute away from my destination. But because I was out in the middle of the country, there was no way to make a U-turn, and the homes were literally a mile to a mile and a half long. The first home that I came up to, I pulled into the driveway. And when I pulled into the driveway, I made sure that I checked all of my blind spots in my rearview mirror to see if it was okay to back out of this driveway. And once I backed out of the driveway, I noticed there was a red truck that was slowing down almost to a stop where I was. But I thought that maybe I was blocking this red truck from pulling into its own driveway. But once I put my my backup signal on, that red truck kept on driving away. Stay tuned for part 2. So once the red truck rolled on past, I went on ahead to back out, turned around, went back the way that I came, and I was trying to get back to where I was only 3 minutes away from my destination. After I came to the end of the road, I made a right turn. And when I looked in my rearview mirror, I noticed that the red truck was driving behind me. I really, again, didn't think anything of it, but it was kind of strange when I looked at the truck. The truck had tinted windows, not just on the sides, but it also had the windshield tinted, which is not legal in the state that I live in. So that kind of concerned me, and at the same time I got distracted once again, and I ended up making the wrong turn, headed in a whole nother direction. And at this point I noticed that the red truck was making all the same turns that I was making, even though I didn't know where the heck I was going. I started getting a little weary that this truck was following me, so I picked up the phone, and don't judge me, but the first person I called was my oldest daughter, and I let her know what I was doing and where I was headed, but that I had got lost, and I believed that there was a car following me. And the first thing she said was, "Why?" Stay tuned for part 3. I told my daughter I knew he was following me because every time I would slow down trying to figure out where I was, I noticed that the red truck would slow down instead of trying to go around me to get to wherever he or she was trying to get to. And every time I made a turn, the red truck also made a turn. So my daughter became very, very scared, and she said, "Mom, I think you need to try to pull into the next gas station that you see." And I told her that's just it. I don't see a gas station. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I have not saw a gas station. I have not saw nothing but back roads. And she said, "Well, Mama, hang up the phone with me and call 911." So that is what I did. I hung up the phone with her. I called 911. The dispatcher wanted to know where was I located. I told the dispatcher that I didn't know where I was located because I was lost. She put me on hold so she can kind of pinpoint where I was. She was able to pinpoint where I was and told me that I was out of their jurisdiction and that she was going to transfer me over to the sheriff of the county of district that I was in. At this point, I knew I was lost because the address that I was trying to find was in the same county as me, and I found myself actually being in the county over next to me. So stay tuned for part 4. So now I'm on the phone with the sheriff from the county that I was currently lost in, and this sheriff was very, very calm with me and being concerned. He didn't want me to get off the phone till he knew that I was somewhere safe. He always kept asking me, was the red truck still following? I would say, yeah. I was actually making turns on purpose just to see if the red truck was going to turn when I turned. And as I thought, the red truck was turning as I was turning. But at the same time, I was trying to still stay within the perimeters of the address that I was trying to go to. Once I noticed I was back on track and I was only a couple minutes away from my destination, I was too afraid to actually even stop at the destination due to this red truck still being behind me. And so I was letting the sheriff know that, and he could tell by the trembling of my voice that I was really terrified. So he told me that if I didn't want to stop, that was perfectly fine. He was going to go ahead and guide me to the police station so I don't have to worry about stopping. So I went straight on past the destination that I was supposed to get to. But once I came to the stop sign, the call dropped with the police. Stay tuned for part 5. So here I am sitting at this stop sign, terrified as all outright because I have no clue where this police department is in this county, and the call have dropped. But this is the closest the red truck has ever gotten to me because it's been keeping a little distance away as it's been following me. But now we're both at the stop sign, one car behind the other one. So I had to think quickly, what am I going to do? I don't know where the police department is, so I decided to bust a U-turn. The reason why I decided to bust a U-turn because this would give me the opportunity to try to look on the back of this truck to see if there was a license plate number, because it definitely was not a license plate on the front of the truck, if I didn't mention that earlier. And also I wanted to see if I could try to see who was in that car, whether it was a male, female, and what race it was. But again, this car has so many tinted all around it, I could not tell who was in that car. But I did bust that U, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and guess what? He busts the U too. So I'm headed back towards the address that I was trying to go to, and because he's behind me, I'm just as more terrified as I ever been. Stay tuned for part 6. So as I'm thinking while driving, I decided I'm going to go back to the address that I was trying to get to in the first place, because I ended up passing by it because I was afraid to stop. I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to blow the horn real loud in panic, hoping that somebody would come out of the home. And that's exactly what I did, and the plan did work. I was able to pull up into the driveway, blew the horn just crazy, and somebody came out, and the red truck slowly drove past me, looking. I can tell whoever was in there was looking my direction, and I went to explain to the person that I was going to see what had been going on or what was happening and how terrified I was about the red truck. And at first, she thought that this was a neighbor from the neighborhood that has a red truck that always, drive up and down that road. I said, no, I don't think this is a neighbor. This person has an all-tinted red truck. He's been following me for like the last 20-25 minutes. He doesn't have a license plate on the front. And by this time, I didn't even see a license plate on the back. I said, I think this is somebody different. And after her and I talked for a while, we looked up. He was coming right back past again. Stay tuned for part 7. Now, the person I was talking to, she done became concerned when she saw the red truck coming back, going the opposite direction. And when he rode past her house, once again, he slowed down, and she felt like, okay, yeah, this is not a good sign. And prayerfully, the officer that I had been speaking with from that county earlier and the call dropped, he ended up calling me back. And what was strange is that he said that they had just spoke to the person that was in the red truck, that the person that was in the red truck had gave them a call telling them that I guess he saw a lady on the road. She looked like she was lost. He was trying to help her, so he started to follow me to see if I needed any help. Like, he was really concerned, and that really concerned me, because if you were trying to find out why, whether I was lost or not, all them stop signs that we had, you could have pulled up on the side of me and asked me, was I okay? Was you lost? Did you need any help? You could have even pulled in the driveway of the person I was going to visit and see if I was okay, if I needed anything, but instead you just kept creeping behind me. Stay tuned for part 8. After explaining my story to the sheriff, even he wasn't convinced that the person that was in the red truck was telling the truth, because if he was really trying to help me, he had plenty of ways to try and help me rather than to pick up the phone and call the officer. He only called the officers because when he rolled back past me the first time and he saw me speaking to the person that was at the address I was trying to get to, he probably thought by this time I had got a hold of his license plates and that I was going to be calling the cops. So he wanted to try to beat me to it in case they came looking for him. He can try to have his story together as to why he was following me. But definitely it didn't have nothing to do with him wanting to help me. So the sheriff wanted me to just stay put where I was until they sent officers out to talk to me. They also spoke to him and told him to stay put, and they was going to send officers out to talk to him. Once the officers came out to talk to me, they had actually told me that he told them that he had just got off for work and that it just so happened that I was making the same turns as him. Stay tuned for part 9. Now, it's not unusual for a driver to be making the same turns as another driver. But how do you explain the turns that I was purposely making that you also made, and also the 2 U-turns that I did, and you also did a U-turn and came back behind me? That does not explain that you were trying to help me, or that I just so happened to be making the same turns as you. If you were trying to help me, you saw me stop at this location, you could have pulled into the driveway just like I did. And instead of you calling the police department to explain why you were following me, you could have been explaining that to me. So I know that his intentions was totally different than what he was telling the police. He had to find a way to defend himself, and they rolled with it. Let me tell you something, ladies. The moral of this story is that you definitely need to be aware of your surroundings, because you do not know what people intentions are, whether it be good or whether it be bad. But you always have to stay with your guard up, and you always have to be protected at all times. I'm going to end this with part 10, and it's going to be my conclusion. So he did cooperate with the police department and stayed put until they arrived, which he was literally up the road from where I was. And I'm not quite sure what happened after I left, but after explaining my side to the officers and letting them know that I did not believe anything that he was trying to explain to them, they knew that I was still terrified. They asked me would I be okay to drive home. I told them yes. So what they decided to do was to go and talk to him, and talk to him long enough to allow me to get as far out of that area as possible so that he could no longer follow me. But it did not take the fear out of my mind, and now I'm gonna always be afraid to travel somewhere I've never been without having somebody else in the car with me, or without having some type of extra protection. And I'm actually thinking that I'm probably gonna have PTSD after this. But I don't want no other woman to go through what I went through mentally, even though I'm okay physically. But I do want to bring awareness one more time. Please be aware of your surroundings. Everybody is not out for good intention. I hope that this helps somebody out there.